What would you think about somebody living in an old and historical village with small streets and driving a big SUV? You would probably say that it's a waste of money and gas consumption, because nobody needs a big car in such a small village. And you would even say that it doesn't make sense, since it is very difficult to drive in small streets with such a big car, and it is even slower than a small car. Similarly, this misuse of resources also happens with the most important treasure that companies have and often underestimated. In service, every task is different and may require very different skills and different levels of qualification. Matching a purchase order with an invoice to book an account is quite mechanical, but it can require analytical skills if there is an issue. Treating requests of an IT help desk not only requires software knowledge, but also interpersonal skills. Making a go, no-go decision for a huge deal needs years of experience to estimate the long-term impact. So, as you can see, each activity needs a different set of skills and qualifications. Now, as you may immediately guess, employees don't use all their skills all the time. For a large part of the day, they do underqualified tasks. Doctors write reports, managers look at expense sheets, buyers enter purchase order data into the system, and it is not rare to see sales reps spending less than 25% of their time with customers. So back to our analogy. How would you judge the use of a SUV in the middle of a small medieval village? A waste of gas consumption and a waste of capital depreciation. In the same way, we talk about human capital waste whenever an employee has to execute a task which can be executed by a less qualified person or by a machine. Traditionally, Lean considers 7 types of waste, but in fact in service, human capital waste is another type of waste. So there are 8 types of waste in services. Of course, the total optimization of human capital is unrealistic, and it can also be in tension with flexibility, because if people refuse to perform a lower task, it might create even more waste. But if we strive to optimize the time of a manufacturing machine, why don't we try to do the same with employees? The good news is that you can increase the human capital of your company by developing employees' competencies and by attracting and retaining talents. The other good news is that human capital can be converted easily in financial capital. For example, if you train a buyer to develop his negotiation skills, it might decrease your purchasing cost. Or if you train your call center agents, this might reduce the churn rate. If we look at the pyramid of human capital, we can see that each employee creates value and waste at each level. But part of the value could have been created at a lower level or could even be automated. So how can companies invest better in their human capital? We recommend the following actions in the following order. 1. Identify and address obvious waste with value stream mapping and Kaizen. This has to be the first action, because obvious waste has to be out of any further analysis. 2. Identify opportunity for digitization. It is important not to digitize waste such as reworks. It can happen that the people digitize workarounds to fix errors, especially with the raising of advanced robotic technologies. This is against the philosophy of exposing waste to address it. 3. Reallocate resources to fit use of skills. 4. Redeploy all additional resources to create additional value, sustain growth, and absorb voluntary leaves.